So 2 days ago, there was an attempted assassination on our former president, Donald J. Trump. I'm very bummed out about it. I'm sure everybody is. I mean, everybody should be. Even if you're on the left politically or a staunch Democrat, I would imagine that you look at this as a sad event and not a great beacon of hope for unity in this country in the near future. But so how do you feel? And let's talk about it. How do you feel? Just before we get into the legal stuff, how are you feeling about this?
Really upset. I feel upset that there was a failure of security for any presidential candidate. This happened to RFK Jr. before. It happened to Ronald Reagan. At this point, I didn't think that was going to happen. I thought the Secret Service would have snipers everywhere in sight. I can't believe that Thomas Michael Crooks, the kid who tried to kill Trump, would be able to get up on top of a storage roof and start shooting at him. It's upsetting to me. And again, I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I'm a political atheist. I like to watch from the stands. This is a sport that I like to watch. I'm really into politics, but I'm not.
You're an American, right?
I'm an American, and I'm a constitutionalist. I'm a lawyer. I've been doing this for 25 years. So, you know, I'm shocked that the safeguards of protecting a presidential candidate wasn't there.
Right. So that's definitely one of the main issues which we should dive into, which is what was the lapse in security? How did it happen? What was wrong with the Secret Service? Is there an institutional problem with the Secret Service? It seems like there's been multiple defects that have come up over the last few years in different instances that I've been researching today, but that's an issue. What other issues should we talk about?
Well, there's apparently they were requesting for extra security for Trump and other candidates. Like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has been saying, he's been complaining that he has not been getting any Secret Service money, even despite his requests, even despite his polling numbers.
I'm not sure presidential candidates get Secret Service protection automatically.
They do. After RFK Jr., they made it automatic now.
So RFK Jr. gets it?
Yes, he should get it, and he was complaining that he's not getting it because, according to the administration, again, this is my understanding of the Biden administration, he's complaining that the Biden administration is not granting it because he doesn't have viability, which means that there's no chance that he's going to win. Mm-hmm. But according to Robert Kennedy Jr., that's not the standard. You should be giving it to him anyway because it's polling really well, and he could get killed, and they're not giving it to him. Going back to Trump, the same complaint is now being said that basically they're not providing the proper money and support to presidential candidates. I can't believe they're doing that. That's very just shocking to me.
So you think there was a deficit in financing here in the Secret Service and in the part of this town in Pennsylvania?
There was a deficit in manpower, which means a deficit in the money provided for the manpower.
Right. I mean, did you see the statement that the director of the Secret Service made?
Yes. Mayorkas?
I thought it was Kimberly Cheadle.
Okay.
Did you see her statement?
I might have.
I hope I'm not butchering her name. But the director of the Secret Service said that, you know, I don't know how much of an apology it was. She did say the buck stops with me, which I thought is good. We want to hear that. Yeah. I, as an American citizen, I mean, not to be brutal about it, I just want to see her either fire a bunch of people or resign. Like, because you got to do one or the other. That's the only move. Like, historically, if you're an authority figure and there's a lapse this huge, because a bullet came within an inch of President Trump's head.
Right. If he didn't move that last second, by the way, that guy's the luckiest guy in the world.
I mean, the ear is technically part of the head, so it hit him in the head. It hit him in the ear, but
he just turned his head, and he said in the news, "I turned it last minute, and that bullet just grazed him." I mean, you know, I've been calling him Teflon Don for years. Now it's official. He is Teflon Don. Right. He is untouchable. Right. And you know, I just a little side note. I don't know if you know this, but the last time a presidential candidate got shot and just stood there was, I believe it was Ted Roosevelt, right? Teddy Roosevelt got shot in the chest, and he went back up and still gave the speech for 15 minutes. Wow. And then he went down into the crowd and kicked the guy's ass that shot him.
Hell yeah.
And he said, and he told him, he said, if you wanted to kill me, you got to do better than that to kill a bull moose. So when President Trump, after he got shot.
What year was that? I mean, what was what ammunition? What ammunition are we?
Derringer, I think it was Derringer with a bullet. You know, it was one of those bullets that went in his chest, it lodged in his chest. Wow. The fact of the matter is that hasn't been done since like Teddy Roosevelt, where a president just gets shot and is like, I ain't going nowhere.
Right.
So I found that history parallel to be very interesting. And again, I'm not a Trump fan. I'm not a Biden fan. I just found that interesting that after the guy gets shot in the ear, he stands up and he pumps his fist and he says, fight, fight, fight.
Yeah.
Would Biden have done the same thing?
Heck no, but Trump also knows expertly how to capitalize on a TV moment.
Was he waiting for that point all his life, for that moment where he just said, okay, I got shot, now I'm going to capitalize on this? Or
so I would, I think that it's hard to imagine. It's never crossed his mind before.
No, but I'm saying at that moment when he went down,
yeah.
I think he's such a calculated politician.
Yeah.
Before he left, the Secret Service told him, we got to go.
He said,
I heard his microphone. He said, wait.
Yeah.
And he pumps his fist. That was calculated.
Well, that was his expert reaction to managing the media.
Yeah.
He understands there's an American flag on a crane above my head. He sees a photographer down and to the left, crouching down, trying to get a shot.
Yes.
He instantly goes, oh my God,
yeah.
like, this is a crazy moment. And again, not to take away from the fact that the man was almost shot and killed before our eyes. I mean, full sympathy with the situation there.
Absolutely,
for him.
absolutely.
But yeah, of course he capitalized on. He knows how to capitalize.
Yeah.
He's smart, and
Very smart.
he absolutely understands telegenics, like television imagery, or streaming media imagery, and the photography and the front page news, and what is going to be encapsulated in the moment, the fist pump, the flag, he felt the blood streaming down his face, I'm sure.
Yes.
So all of that, yes, but
that was a big risk, though. That was a big risk that he took, because even though the shooter was down, we didn't know if there was another shooter. There could have been another shooter. See, from my perspective, that was very dangerous to do.
There could have been another shooter.
Another shooter that could have took a shot at his head at that point when he's pumping his fist.
Yeah.
So it was brave, but was it smart? I don't know.
Yeah. It didn't have a whole lot to do with smart calculation. It was purely media management. And I think he did an expert job at that, and it'll win him the election.
I thought he was actually honestly pissed, too. He was pissed. He got up, and when he said fight, 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 I don't think he was... I think he was really upset. He was basically saying, like, that's not going to do it for me. You're not going to put me away in a basket with that one. The one thing I said is as soon as that happened, I went on my social media account the second it happened. I was watching portions of that Butler, Pennsylvania thing. I was flipping back and forth on Instagram. And when I flipped back, I saw that he got shot, that, the pop shots were happening. I didn't believe it myself, to be honest with you, because I thought in this day and age, how's that possible? Usually they have like plexiglass, the COVID plexiglass, the bulletproof glass, around the president. So it was shocking. And I think that's what's going to happen from now on. I think they're going to up the security. They're never going to let a politician ever again without that glass in front of them, the security glass. Because if they had security glass, a perimeter around him, a bulletproof security glass, the same one that they had when he was inaugurated, that glass, he would have never got shot. Yeah.
They could have, that and line of sight. Why is there someone on a rooftop 100 to 150 meters away?
And they knew they knew that Thomas Michael Crooks was going to shoot. If you watch on the
Who
news,
knew?
There were several people across the Donald Trump rally that were listening, witnesses, that were pointing at the roof and saying, there's a guy up there 2 to 3 minutes before Donald Trump got shot. Yelling, there's a guy on the roof. Why the F did it take that long for the security, for Secret Service to knock that guy out? Why did they wait for him to take a shot? Because they knew 2 to 3 minutes before that this guy was on the roof. Why didn't they take him out before? These are all the security lapses and the questions that are going to be asked.
Yeah. The only feasible answer in my mind is the Secret Service did not see the guy on the roof until the moment they shot him. Because I'm absolutely certain they would have taken him out the exact millisecond that they spotted and confirmed him. It doesn't seem like he was a highly trained assassin of any sort. He's a 20-year-old kid who's a high school disgruntled, basically loser who didn't have a lot of friends, right?
Right. He's a lone wolf.
Lone wolf.
Apparently he was Republican registered and also Democrat registered. So, we don't know what his motives were. But we do.
Everybody's saying that.
Yeah.
I love this, but I hear it everywhere. But let's just put the politics aside. he's like a school shooter character. He's
Yes.
like this disgruntled young male who gets no attention.
Think Columbine, think the Arizona movie shooter that goes into the movie theater as a joker and shoots people.
Yeah, they're making fun of him every day at lunch. He's sitting by himself at high school. We know this because we've heard his former
Classmates
speak on.
And he used to dress in like military garb going into class. So you got to also understand the psyche behind it. So
what's going through his head?
So I've been doing this for 25 years as a criminal defense attorney. I talk to a lot of clients. All right, maybe the public would call them criminals, whatever you call them. They're my clients, and I ask the question, "Why did you do it?" To me, the psychology is very important because you have to explain to the judge the brain. Did he do it intentionally? Did he do it because he has mental problems? Based on what I'm seeing right now, it seems to me that he had the I'm going to save the world psyche. The I'm going to save the world psyche is basically he thinks that by killing Trump, the world is saved. I just don't know why and how he got to that point.
So this is what I'm curious about. Like, he's obviously this loser who doesn't have a lot of friends, who wants attention of some sort. I don't think he's not necessarily going on that rooftop on a suicide mission, I wouldn't imagine. Although maybe he believes he will die. But is he somehow, I'm just wondering, just thinking out loud, is he hoping to then get praise out of this because he's going to survive, get arrested, go to jail, be a hero, be all over the news? Is that what he's thinking? Or is he thinking, I have zero chance of surviving this. They're going to put a bullet in my head, and I better just try to take the former president out before I'm shot?
Who knows? I mean, we don't know what he's thinking in his head. I could tell you that based on the pattern and behavior, the criminal behavior, it could be any one of those. It could be that he thought that he was going to die. He didn't care. It could be because he didn't think he was going to die and he didn't think it through properly.
Because if you think you're going to die, where's the reward? I mean, is this like a 72 Virgins type of situation where you get in like radical Islamic jihadists? Is this that level of sort of, he doesn't seem religious, he doesn't seem fanatical, not that we know of any kind. Whose attention does he want?
Well, look at Hinckley killing Reagan. Whose attention did he want? He was a psycho that tried to kill Ronald Reagan because he was in love with the actress Jodie Foster. Everybody's got something in their brain.
It's just psychotic behavior.
There's always a reason why people kill. People don't understand that. You know, when I represent people that kill, murderers as you call them, everybody says, "Oh, they're evil." There's no such thing as evil. There's a reason why people get killed. It may not be a good reason. It may be a crap reason, but there's a reason.
They believe it to be true.
Yeah, there's always a reason. People just don't kill somebody for no reason. So
not that we're justifying it.
Not that we're justifying, but there's always a reason. And I always ask, even though criminal defense attorneys supposedly never want to know, I always want to know because I want to go into the psyche of my client's mind in order to see whether or not there's something I could do to represent him and defend him.
And it's interesting that sometimes they kill somebody they hate. Sometimes they kill somebody they love. Sometimes they kill... The guy who killed John Lennon was a massive fan. In a weird way, they're like owning the person by killing them. Or what about a lover who kills their lover and then their family?
Same with Selena, the singer. I think the person that killed Selena was a huge fan.
Like fan violence.
She was the fan president that killed Selena.
Like president of the fan club.
Yeah, she was the president of the fan club. And you remember that movie that J-Lo starred in? So Selena was a famous... I believe Mexican singer in America.
Yeah. So it's weird. Like you look at this kid, he's 20, he's got nothing going for him.
Yeah.
He a little bit of Republican, a little bit of Democrat. Right. Like the first day it happened, I was so worried that it could potentially be an Antifa thing or like that really freaked me out. Where I was like, oh my God.
I thought this was calculated and
like,
that was a problem.
If there was ever a whiteboard in a room and people had a discussion about this, I mean, talk about a conspiracy against the United States, talk about treasonous activity, talk about really, I mean, just the idea that somebody or a group of people would think we know better than all of you. So guess what? You don't even get you don't get a choice. We're gonna just take this guy out. You don't get a choice. This is who knows what the thinking was, but I was most worried about that line of thinking. So I'm so oddly, and it's like stupid to even say, but I'm oddly sort of like. What's the word? What am I looking for? Come on, words. I'm like a little bit relieved that it's a disgruntled school shooter type by himself, potentially. not any kind of
Grand conspiracy.
a movement from the opposite side of the political spectrum.
Well, they're still investigating it, so we don't know for sure if there's anybody else involved. They went to Thomas Michael Crook's home. They raided it. What they're going to do
40 miles outside the rally.
Right, so let me tell you, this is where my expertise kicks in. Doing this 25 years, I'll tell you what they're going to do. They're going to go through every single piece of electronic data they could find. We're talking about his phone. We're talking about his computer. We're talking about his email. We're talking about voicemail messages. And they're going to go through every single thing. And then what's going to happen, Tony? And then they're going to open up Pandora's box, meaning that...
So wait, searches on his computer. I mean,
Everything.
I'm sure the guy's been searching stuff on Google, DuckDuckGo, some kind of dark web maybe. Who knows, right?
Everything. They're going to go into all his text messages. They're going to ask all his friends, was there anything wrong with him that you saw? They're going to go to his emails. They're going to look and see whether or not there's any kind of radicalization going on for the past, 6 months or a year. They're going to see who's been donating to, how much money's been donating. They're going to see what chat groups has been going in, whether there's been chatting. They're going to see whether or not other people have been talking to him about this. So I don't think this is going to end here. I'm not saying that there are other people involved, but they're going to dig, and they're going to dig deep.
My hunch is they'll find 0 people that he interacted with. It just seems like, and I'm so just guessing here because we're 2 days out and we're waiting for news to break, but I have been trying to stay on top of it. And but yeah, you're right. It could be that in 2 days they're like, oh, we found cell phone messages from a girl he was involved with and they were together on it, or a guy or a group of people. But it seems like this guy, given his social disconnect amongst his classmates, the fact that he's such a lone wolf at lunch, the fact that his dad allowed him presumably to borrow the AR thinking he's going to the gun range. So that's the dad's perspective on it. All that taken into account, it just seems to me, I find it a small likelihood that he would have mentioned this to anyone or talked to anybody about it. Or maybe he anonymously posted somewhere, like one of those cuckoo sites, 4chan, 8chan, whatever, 16.
But it's really rare when a lone wolf doesn't tell anybody about what they're doing.
Well, who do they usually tell, though? They're lone wolves.
They go on a chat group or something. They post something because at that point, it's the precipice of their anger, right? They're so upset. They're so upset that it's very hard for them to keep it inside them. They usually tell a confidant or somebody like, I had enough or something. Or there's usually signs. Like even this school shooting in Columbine, there were signs. At the Arizona movie theater shooting, John Holmes, where he walked in as a joker and he sprayed. There were signs. The Sandy Hook shooting, there's signs. There's always signs. I guarantee you, mark my words, when they go inside his house, they're going to see signs. Whether or not those signs were able to be disseminated, or I should say, observed and recognized, that's a different issue.
Yeah, but no known social media usage of any kind
that we know of. That we know.
Sitting alone every day at lunch, getting bullied.
Right.
I mean, I guess I could see 1 or 2 dudes that he interacts with at school that he might have mentioned something to. I don't know if he would have done it jokingly. This is all conjecture. It's too early to know, but certainly I was relieved to know that there's not a grand conspiracy, that's not politically motivated to the extent of more than one person having a kooky idea, but people actually discussing and coming up with this notion of like, let's eliminate the leading candidate on the other side. We're not there. At least it doesn't seem like. Do people across this country have that idea? Yeah, people do. But I think it's an amazing opportunity now that we face 2 days after this attempted assassination, an opportunity for everybody to just really bring the temperature down and go, okay, nobody's a threat to democracy. Nobody is. But Biden's not a threat to democracy, and Trump certainly is not a threat to democracy. Like, the country's stronger than that. It's better than that. The machine is designed better than that. You're not going to put one kook in there who's going to pass executive orders dismantling the Supreme Court and sending Congress home and passing the laws of the land by himself. That's just not going to happen. So when anybody on any part of the political spectrum starts saying, from this day on, when people start saying, oh, this person is a threat to democracy and we got to get him out, we should be careful about that. We should just bring the temperature down and go, no. It's just ideas. Some are better. Some will win. Some will lose. The country will move forward and survive.
I think you're right. I think the inflammatory rhetoric has become dangerous, especially when Biden says there should be a bullseye. He used the word bullseye, brown shirts, referring to Hitler's time when it comes to Trump. This type of Armageddon, that if Trump is elected, its democracy is over. I'm not blaming Biden, but certainly he set up, in my opinion, he set up that storm. And if you keep talking like that, right, people say that, Trump is Trump, but there's something concept called being Trumpian, and I think Biden is being very Trumpian right now by going out and telling everybody, if you elect Trump, the world is going to be coming to an end. So
it may be the last election we ever have.
The democracy ends right here. So
bullshit.
So right, it's bullshit. And even if Trump is a lunatic, there are, like you said, safeguards.
So many safeguards.
There is a deep state. So that Trump has said that, and we know that there's a deep state. The deep state will take over. Worst case scenario, if you got a maniac, right? But the issue isn't relatively whether or not Biden is going to ruin the world or Trump is going to ruin the world. These politicians need to understand that when you say things, there are crazy people out there that may listen to it and think that they have a calling in this life. That loser, Thomas Michael Crooks, probably wouldn't amounted to anything. Sorry to say to his parents. All right, I'm sorry to say that. It hurts me to say this. He probably was a loser. But he, in his mind, I believe, thought there was a calling for him, that there was a greater calling. And the greater calling was saving the world.
Something.
Right. In his mind, there's no doubt, based on me doing this and speaking to criminals and people with psychological problems, they think differently. They see things in a different light. They'll tell you things that your mouth will drop open. You know what the conversation would sound like if Thomas Michael Crooks was alive? I probably represent him, and I say, Thomas, why'd you do this? I had to do it, because Trump is crazy. He's gonna change the world. I had to do it. But that's not your job. Why are you trying to kill Donald Trump? Somebody's got to do it. I had to do it. I got an AR-15. I knew the area really well. I was the only one that could do it.
It could be.
That's what I think.
That's a political smart, and I say smart in the stupidest sense, but at least thought through idea, which it could be that's what Thomas Crooks had in mind. I like this hypothetical, and I wish that we were in that world where a young 20-year-old was just arrested outside a Trump rally with an AR-15.
Right.
And like the Secret Service saw him, spotted him, got him off the roof, maybe even didn't kill him, but arrested him. He went to R.J. Manuelian as a criminal defense attorney, and you got to have that conversation with him. I wish that were the headlines and that was the world we were in. But because of the lapse of security, of course, we were in this other timeline where the bullet whizzed by President Trump's head within inches, got him in the ear.
Right.
But let's rewind to this alternate timeline where you get to talk to him. I wonder about this.
And I've talked to people like this that have killed people. Many people.
So I wonder if the motive there. I could see the one motivation you brought up, which is it was politically motivated. Like, I got to get rid of this guy. He's a threat to the world. He's a threat to this country.
That's right.
That's very thought through from a left sort of standpoint politically, misunderstanding the engineering of this nation, misunderstanding the balance of power, misunderstanding the very structure of the constitutional democracy we live in, completely not getting how this country works, but yet thinking through like, hey, I got to get rid of this guy to save the world type of idea. But couldn't it also be this other just crazy thing of like, I don't know why I did it. I just attention seeking or something, or like to get in the news?
No.
Because a famous person's coming to speak, and
not this type,
because it's a presidential candidate.
Not only because it's a presidential candidate, he would look at what he was wearing. He was wearing tan pants, he was wearing a gray top, he was in camouflage.
Well, I agree. He meant to do this. Yeah,
it was calculated. He thought about it. He climbed on the roof.
He wanted to succeed, is what you're saying.
Yeah, he wanted to succeed.
He wasn't trying to get caught.
He was on a mission.
Agreed.
Which means that he was upset. When somebody is on a mission to kill somebody, they are very, very upset.
Interesting.
What he was upset at, we don't know, but I think they're going to find out when they're going through his phones and his computers.
That's fascinating what you're saying, because you're bringing this entire emotional component to it, which would motivate the type of behavior he did, which is dress in the colors of the roof, matching the roof, thinking through the strategy of like, I have to be up there long enough to get my shots off.
He was bear walking. Do you know that? That people saw him bear walking for 2 minutes. 2 minutes. So the people that were across the way were yelling, there's a shooter. There's a shooter. And one of the guys has got red hair. He looks like he's from Ireland. He's American, but he was talking. He was like, I was yelling. The guy's on the roof has got a gun. He was pissed off. You should Google this guy. He was being.
Oh, everybody's seen this guy.
He's like,
gone.
I don't know why the Secret Service didn't go and save him. I don't know why they waited. In fact, he insinuated that the Secret Service waited until Trump got shot before they shot back. And he was wondering why they didn't shoot this guy when they knew 2 minutes in advance he was on the roof. That's a good question.
I heard that guy.
Why didn't they take that guy out?
I don't know. I think that there was. I have to wonder whether there was just a lot of confusion because redheaded guy who everybody by now has seen. He's gone more than viral in his interview. He seems to be the best current eyewitness to the shooter bear crawling across the roof, setting up a shot, and then
for 2 minutes.
He said 2. He even said 4 at one point.
Oh, okay.
He did. He's like, it must have been 3 or 4. And he said 2 as well.
It shouldn't be even 30
But
seconds.
he said, I was just standing there pointing at the guy like this, pointing. So
a lot of people are pointing.
And he said, I saw Secret Service looking at me with binoculars from a higher position. So now you got to put yourself in everybody's mind going, hey, why is that dude pointing? Where is he pointing? Trying to find, is it that the camouflage is so effective they don't see him on the roof?
But see, Tony, here's the thing. We wouldn't be having this conversation if the Secret Service just put snipers on every roof. Instead of that guy being there, Thomas Michael Crooks, there should have been Secret Service on that roof. Every roof should have had snipers.
You would think that roof was close enough.
Why is Michael Crooks on that roof?
Why?
There's a serious security failure, a breach.
100%.
If, like you said, if it was 1 inch to the right, we would be talking about the worst possible scenario since Robert Kennedy Jr. We'd be talking about it.
Look, we talked about the preferable timeline would have been, hey, there was a kid arrested outside the rally. Now he's got this great criminal defense attorney, Mr. Manuelian. We're in this middle zone where at least the thing nicked his ear but didn't go 1 inch to the right and create a second Zapruder film, God forbid, in front of all of our eyes. Right. I mean, imagine that and how close we actually came as a nation to that point. How hot would the boiling point be today if that had happened? You know what I mean? Like, I think we dodged a bullet as a nation in a way through like internal turmoil, right?
I think not only did he literally dodge a bullet that day, I think we dodged a bullet in the sense that I think there would have been some sort of anarchy going on in this country if Trump got killed. There are a lot of right-wing conspiracies even now. If you Google it, people think that there's a conspiracy to kill Trump.
Right.
There's a lot of inflammatory rhetoric.
Oh, man.
For example, Marjorie Taylor Greene is coming out and saying things, and they're trying to kill Trump.
No, if you Google
Tucker Carlson also predicted 2 months ago, if you Google Tucker Carlson, that there's going to be an assassination attempt. That's going viral now. So, when you look at this very carefully, if he did get killed, I think there would have been mayhem in this country. I think there would have been a lot more deaths, and I think Biden would have been in serious trouble. I think there would have been more lone wolves pointing at Biden. I think, frankly, what Trump should do right now is he should rise to the occasion. He should rise. I don't know if he's going to do this. And again, I'm not a Trump fan, but I would advise Trump and say, you know what? Now is your moment to say, the political violence is not warranted, that we should unite as a country. Don't blame Biden. Don't blame the other party. Be a bigger man. Own up to it and say, you know what? That bullet didn't do anything to me, but that's okay. I'm moving past this. We're going to move past this as a country. I think if he does that, unifying message, almost like his life changed, his spiritual awakening happened when he took the bullet, independents will vote for him. Democrats might even flip and go, you know what? We got one guy that's pooping his pants. His name is Biden. And we got another guy that dodges a bullet. His name is Trump. They may actually vote for the guy. But the thing is, there's so much inflammatory rhetoric. And again, I'm not a Trump fan at all. I'm not trying to say that at all. There's so much garbage being said about like, the world's going to come
untrue things. Untrue things.
The world's coming to an end. There's going to be a nuclear holocaust. He's going to start a war. He's going to take away all rights. The Constitution has ended. These kinds of inflammatory rhetoric is what caused, in my opinion, Trump to be shot yet.
And let's be honest about it. That rhetoric began, and I'm not a defender of Trump. I'm also not a Trump.
Say January 6th?
No, that rhetoric began, the first day he took office, that rhetoric began back in 2016.
Yeah.
When leaders like, and I hate to call him out, but Adam Schiff, a friend of our community, a real friend of Glendale and Southern California, and however, also a person who got up in front of the American people right off the bat and started talking about Trump is a Russian agent and is a Russian plant and Russia Gate. And if you're not going to inflame people through that rhetoric, what rhetoric is it going to take? I mean, you're literally saying he's a KGB agent and he's running this country.
Yeah.
This kind of talk, I hope that this shooting is an opportunity for everybody across all parts of the political spectrum to go, let's keep it about the ideas. Let's keep it about the ideas. Like, and sure, let's make personal attacks. He's fat, he's ugly, he's old, she's this. Fine. But to say that they are foreign agents, treasonous people who want to end this country, threats to democracy, or like a hand grenade thrown into the system which is going to disrupt the balance of power that this country has. This is just not true, right? So let's all stop saying that. And hopefully our leaders, you said Biden, you said Trump can rise to the occasion. I so hope you're right. I so hope that he can rise to the occasion. Biden seems to have somewhat, because he did say political violence has no place in this country, and he made other statements like that. The only thing that bugged me out, and I was happy to hear President Biden get out there and make a speech, what was it, 5 to 10 minutes long? The only thing that bugged me about it was in the reflection of the window behind him was seeing the teleprompter scrolling. It's like, and I get it. They're not necessarily stage crafting it so that we don't know that he's talking into a teleprompter, but it takes a little bit of it away when you know that he's just reading off
his teleprompter Joe. That's who he is. He has to have a teleprompter on him. If he doesn't have a teleprompter, I don't think he's going to be able to put a sentence together. No disrespect to Joe Biden. You know, he's been doing this a long time. God bless him. I think he should step down. He's done a great service to this country. I'm not saying that Trump should be the president of this country, but I definitely think that these two old men are not the best that we could do.
Joe Biden will step down.
I don't know.
It seems impossible right now, or it seems like he seems to think it's impossible, but the echo of voices seems to only be getting louder on his side of the aisle. I just don't see how he withstands the onslaught. The internal firing squad from the Democrats is going to take him out.
I don't think it's
I shouldn't have used those words.
I don't. Yeah, firing squad's a bad word.
The bad word. I should totally figuratively
You
speaking.
know, I'm not a political pundit, but I will tell you that why is the guy going to give up power now? If you're the president, you're going to give up your power because people around you are telling you you're too old. Are you
He's
kidding
going to be
me?
forced to. The system is going to force him.
He's been in his senator for 50 years, since 29. This guy is furniture, Washington D.C. furniture. Do you think he's actually going to say, "Okay, I'm going to step aside"?
I want to bet on it. How much are we putting on it?
I'll bet you anything he's not going to step aside.
$1.
Fine.
Let's go.
All right.
$1.
Yeah, he ain't never. He ain't doing it.
My thought is that
if even Biden wanted to do it, Jill Biden wouldn't let him do it, and also his son would have let him do it. He's got pardoning power, even though he said he's not going to pardon his son. I don't believe it. He's going to pardon his son.
Okay.
He needs that pardoning power. He came so far in his life to this point. You think he's going to walk away at this point? Now is the strongest, most powerful leader in the world. Is just going to say, "Hey, I'll give it to Kamala Harris, or I'll give it to whoever." Happening.
Let me explain.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to walk away willingly in that way. I don't think he's going to willingly just wake up one morning and hand the crown to Kamala Harris. I do think you mentioned deep state, and I think we both know that it's real.
Of course it is.
The definition of it varies depending on who you talk to.
Employees that have been there forever, and that's what I call the deep state.
Sure.
Federal employees that have long-term commitments in the government that are not being replaced. Those are the deep state people.
So that's sort of administrative, bureaucratic capture. Of an institution.
Yes.
You could also have corporate capture of different institutions. You could have financial lobbyists capture institutions like Congress and even the White House.
As Trump calls the swamp. Yeah.
Sure. Call it what you want. We are aware at this point in our lives and experience living in this country that what is an amazing scaffold, which is the Constitution and all the laws that create this, to give the power to the government to do what they need. It's an amazing scaffolding. I believe in it 100%. However, over time, there is certain calcification that takes place. Things like almost cancerously grow on this scaffold and like stick there and stay there. You called it employees that have been there too long. At an institution like a Ivy League university, it might be the administrators that have been there too long, like even longer than the teachers or the professors or the students, the more key players in the thing. So way longer than the president, way longer than the congresswoman.
They'll be there after the president's gone. Those are the deep state people.
So deep state. So all these entrenched interests, whether they be financial or career-based,
administrative, bureaucratic, all that stuff.
all of them which have captured the levers of power or are
don't want to go to those levers of power.
I think that the side of the aisle that's on the left, on the Democratic side, has those capturing forces. So does the right. And those forces will just like the market calculates the likelihood of a Fed rate hike 6 months out, those institutional powers, that smart money on the left is going to make a calculation. This is why I bet you $1.
Yeah.
They're going to make a calculation that, hey, if Biden had a 49% chance of winning on Saturday morning, that chance just dropped to 29% probably, given this attempted assassination of his opponent. And so we cannot have him as our representative. And they're going to signal to him, however the deep state signals to its candidate, they're going to signal to him that he needs to go. That's why I think he's going to go.
The delegates have to pull their votes for Biden.
It'll end up looking to us like a decision he made. So the the captured interests will say to him, Mr. Biden, we think you should probably make a speech on Tuesday about your health, or maybe it's about wanting to spend more time with your grandchildren. And he'll come out and say, I've made a decision.
You know, it's possible because in the beginning, you might be right, because I'm a lawyer and I look at words. So in the beginning, he said, I'm not leaving this race under any circumstance unless the Lord comes from above and tells me to leave.
Right. Who does he mean by the Lord?
But he said it again, except he added, if the Lord tells me that I cannot win. He just added that. He added that end last week. Google that.
That changes the entire statement.
You might be right. You might be right. By the way, you forgot to ask me, God forbid, if President Trump got killed, what would happen?
So we did talk about that alternate timeline where it went 1 inch to the right.
Right.
And Zapruder film, I don't want to get more graphic.
What happened? Nobody's asking. What happens if a presidential candidate gets killed right before? What happens? Who's going to be the next candidate?
So I think the RNC would be faced with a difficult choice of, like, who do we replace now that this person is deceased? It'd be a horrible situation they'd be in. They try to find some talent to rally around and use the moment to the best of their advantage.
Well, here's what the Brookings Institute says, who's a think tank that's been founded like in 1908. They are the ones that basically talk about government process and how everything is done. And the Brookings Institute is a think tank of lawyers, former senators, presidents. So the Brookings Institute said, basically, if a candidate dies or is incapacitated before the general election, the political party, so the Republican Party, will select a replacement.
Yeah.
This typically involves the party's national committee members who would convene to choose a new nominee. Mm-hmm. Each party which has its own rules and methods for the selection process. If the candidate dies or is incapacitated after the election, but before the Electoral College votes, the electors may have the discretion to vote for a replacement chosen by their party. If a president-elect dies or is incapacitated after the electoral vote, but before inauguration, then the president becomes president. The vice president becomes president.
There's a weird.
So there's like phases.
Few windows,
yeah,
a few phases, and one of them I found to be a little troubling, which was that little second or third phase you mentioned, where it's not yet the VP, but the electors get to now choose a replacement, and you're like, whoa, we are pretty undemocratic at that point,
right?
The people are far removed.
That's the most undemocratic thing is when a delegates come and say, we're going to choose you, Tony.
It seems rare.
It's really rare, but I mean, what are the chances of a presidential candidate getting killed? That's also rare. So that's like a default.
And it's before the election itself.
Before the election itself.
So
in three phases.
People still have a voice at that point. If the
well, yeah, but the problem is the Republican National Committee decides who they're going to select next. I'm assuming at this point, since, by the way, breaking news, J.D. Vance has been selected as the vice president.
Yeah, we learned that today.
So if, God forbid, if Trump dies, I'm assuming that at some point J.D. Vance would be the candidate to be chosen to run for president.
Right. But Trump's security level just got jacked up to DEFCON 5. He's going. I mean, he's going to get crazy protection at this point.
And yeah, he had crazy protection before this event.
Can we also predict the head of the Secret Service is going to resign? I mean, Kimberly cheating.
Somebody's going to get fired. Some heads are going to roll. We don't know who's
like if she doesn't fire 3 or more people, deputies below her in various respective agencies under her control, then she's going to go.
So, Tony, I'm going to enter a subject that I don't want to talk about. I have a daughter, and I am very pro women's rights, and I'm pro women. But there's a lot of criticism against the 2 female agents that were there. If you Google it, a lot of people are criticizing the 2 female agents because they got caught on camera saying, "What do we do? What do we do next?" And they're saying that these are really unfit to serve as Secret Service. There's a lot of complaints. I think Musk was doing complaint also on DEI, diversity, exclusion, and inclusion.
Sure.
They're basically saying that these were women that were chosen. And again, I'm not mentioning this because I'm against this. I'm all for whoever's qualified. But if you watch that video,
You got to be qualified. Yeah.
The women were saying, the 2 females were saying, "What do we do next?
Right.
What do we do next?" That scared me. If I was the president of the United States, I don't want my Secret Service saying, "What do we do next?" And I'm not saying it's because they're female or male, but we need to hire for the president protection the most qualified people. I don't care if you're black, purple, red. I don't care if you're female. I don't care if you're male. I don't care if you're transgender. We need the most qualified people, period.
For the particular job.
For the particular job.
100%.
Not because you have long hair, not because you're this or that,
right.
not because you're a guy even.
Right.
We need somebody that's going to be able to react quickly,
Right.
not ask, "What do I do next?"
Sure.
So this is what bothered me about
I'm with you. And so we should all wise up as a society and buy into the meritocracy that this country can be. And we should do our best to just judge everybody by their merit.
Absolutely.
Not as a member of an identity
Yeah.
group. Please, let's stop doing that.
Yeah.
I don't want people to look at me and say, "You come from a people that are genocided and therefore you should get special rights and one leg up." I don't want it.
No.
And guess what? Unluckily for me, I'll never have it anyway because my skin is white and it doesn't show that that is the history behind this ugly face. But that shouldn't be the case in anybody.
Right.
Not for us and not for anybody.
Right.
We should put identity politics aside and we
Yeah.
should be like, if you're a man, if you're a woman, if you're straight, if you're gay, if this is the particular role you're going to serve physically, mentally, in all due respects, are you best fitted out of all the candidates we have? And let's choose you.
Right.
We'll get there.
That's all I'm saying. And look, there could be females protecting me. I have no problem. I want to make sure that female is trained properly. Whether it's a male or female, black or white, red or purple, that person needs to know how to handle a gun, needs to know what to do next.
And there are. Can we just say, we know that there are incredibly talented,
Right,
like I'm sure Secret Service agents, but also a lot of law enforcement personnel that are female, or like even military personnel that are female.
Yeah.
Both at general level or at higher levels of authority, as well as on the ground, boots on the ground, doing even special forces stuff.
Yeah.
If we're thinking that these 2 female Secret Service agents were subpar or they were there because of DEI and they weren't qualified enough, that's a shame. If that's the case, we need to find out.
By the way, I'm not.
We don't know, but if that is, we need to learn.
If you take a look at the pictures when Trump got shot,
Yeah.
the males jumped on top of Trump. The females were hiding behind Trump. They were not jumping on Trump. No females jumped on Trump. Oh, only the males jumped.
I'm going to go back.
Take a look at the photos.
I'm going to go back.
And there's a lot of military criticism. A lot of males are coming out. And again, I'm not against females doing that, but they got to be qualified.
Yeah.
Even a man, by the way, I'm not just saying because they're female.
Not every man would jump on top of the president, but the ones we hire for that role is
should.
Yeah.
So I'm not picking on the females that were hiding. I'm picking on the agents, okay, regardless of their gender that were hiding.
Right.
Those agents should absolutely be fired.
Right.
I don't care if you're female. I don't care if you're male.
Right.
If you're hiding when you're not jumping on the president, that means you care about your life more than the president's, which is fine, but you're not up to the task.
I'm with you. And, I should tell you, I was on a flight a couple weeks ago, flying out of Dallas, more than a couple weeks ago. But for some weird reason, because of the seat arrangement, I was separated from my family. So I was sitting by myself near an exit, near the door that opens and closes, and they were sitting in another area together. And when it came time for the plane to depart, the stewardesses walked up and they're like, "Hey, we need to get the exit door shut." A lady on the other side who was not the tallest lady. She was kind of small. I would say she was 5'3". She might have been 5'4". But she was not a big, strong person by any means. She kind of came as the representative from the airline to shut the door. So she kind of came from the outside on the tarmac, closed the door, and then kind of did the lock with all her weight and might, but it didn't go all the way. And then she just started walking away. And I'm looking at the door, seriously, a little bit freaked out. I'm like, that door did not shut. And then one of the stewardess ladies walks down and she just starts going, no, 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 no. And she starts banging on the window because it's half shut. You can't even open it from the inside, but it's not fully engaged. She starts banging on the window and I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? And then another stewardess comes down, banging on the window. Hey, come back. And then the woman comes back and she's trying to do it, but she cannot physically close that door. She just doesn't have the upper body strength or really the body weight to make it happen. And so then I hear the stewardess going, is there a man? Is there a man out there? Get a man. Tell her to get a man to come and do it. Like, that was the stewardess's instinct. And I was like, yeah, like, just get the right guy for the job. Like, shut the door correctly. And so a guy came out, and it wasn't even his job. He was like a luggage guy on the tarmac who came and just like shut it for her, you know, engaged the lock. It's like when your wife, let's be real, every morning your wife's like, can you open this? Can you open this? But I love that moment when she hands me the jar and I get to be
here's
a hero in a caveman sense. You got to get the right person for the job.
You know what, though? I'll tell you. You know, my daughter could be a Secret Service agent. She's a black belt going for second degree. She's freakishly strong. She could protect me. I trust her to protect me more than any man, okay? If you're going to give me a bodyguard, I'd pick my daughter because she has skills. She could kill people with her hands.
Yeah, the point is the qualification.
The quality. Yeah. I mean, my daughter would have protected Trump better. My daughter would have jumped on Trump. These two individuals, I'm not just saying it because they're females. I'm saying they're unqualified females.
I agree. And I want everybody, especially the kids out there, and I don't know who's watching this because we can't promote this episode anyway because it's political.
Right.
But whoever listens to this, please just think about what it means to live in a meritocracy and how we get there.
Yeah.
What it means when we just value people because they're the best, regardless of how they look or what identity they're from and what gender they are and what sexual preference they have. Who gives a shit? And the best place to look as proof of this in the entertainment world, I could think of one place. You want to know what it is? Can you have a guess? Is it going to be acting? Is it going to be drama? Is it going to be music? Is it going to... No. Any guess? In the entertainment world, there's one meritocracy: comedy. Comedy is a real meritocracy. You get on that stage. If you make people laugh, you get called back the next day.
Instant verification.
If you cannot make people laugh, you will not get the next gig. And guess what? How diverse is comedy? Like, I went to the Comedy Store last night with my wife, or not, was it last night? What day is it? Monday, 2 nights ago. And we were kind of giggling at it. We're like, it's amazing how awesomely diverse the lineup is. Nobody gives a shit. Like, are you a fat, overweight lesbian woman literally living in a trailer? And are you a black lady who's, left her corporate gig to now start comedy? Are you like good looking? Are you bad looking? Are you tall, short, black, yellow? Nobody cares about any of it. It's just, if you're funny, you're there. And so you organically get an incredible lineup that's diverse. You don't have to mandate it with like directors who come in with clipboards and say, how many of this color do you have on your board? You don't need that. So that's my rant. Like, let's get there. I want us to get there.
We will. I think after this incident with Trump, I think there needs to be a congressional hearing. I think there will be, in fact. There'll be a congressional hearing. I'll bet you there will be. And then there's going to be a debate about who's going to be protecting the president. And I'm sure DEI is going to come into this, and whether DEI played a role in this, and whether or not just the females, but whether the other people were chosen. Maybe somebody was chosen for some other reason other than qualification. But, in my opinion, I'm not going to get into the DEI argument, but I know with the president of the United States or anything in the world, when you're hiring somebody, you should be qualified. It should be based on meritocracy.
100%.
Not based on the color of your skin or the color of your hair, the color of your eyes, your name, or your sexual orientation.
None of it.
That's fine if you happen to have the qualification and you have those other things.
Nobody cares.
But your identity shouldn't trump your qualification.
Yeah. What's the next news that's going to come out of this Trump shooting situation?
The next thing is they're investigating Thomas Michael Crooks. They're trying to find out who he is. They're going through his emails. They're going through his phones. They're going to go through his emails. They're going to get search warrants on his parents, see if his parents knew His parents could be charged with a crime if they knew. You know that, right? Parents could be charged with a crime, just the way they charged the other two parents recently that went down for their son shooting and killing somebody. So that's a new law. You could, listen, everybody, it's our podcast. You could, as parents, go to jail if you have reason to know, reasonable belief that your son has mental problems or challenges, and you have a gun in the house. And if he takes a gun and he kills somebody, you could be held responsible. So you got to be very careful. Sandy Hook was one of the things, even though the parents weren't prosecuted. But I think that what they're going to do in this case, ultimately, they're going to try to figure out what the parents knew, what the friends knew, what anybody knew, and they're going to follow that and try to see whether or not somebody down that chain could have stopped it. Do I think that somebody's going to be charged with a crime? Maybe. At this point in time, they're just trying to figure out what's going on.
So we're looking to see if anybody gets charged. Obviously, the shooter is dead now. And we're looking to see if there's any massive changes in the Secret Service and in the protection of the president and in the protocol that goes into that and the personnel who are responsible, right?
I would be shocked if Trump keeps the same detail. If I were Trump, I would have fired half my detail. I would have said, who the hell messed up here? I'm sure they had that conversation right now, but the bigger picture is it's not just a matter of Trump. It's a matter of the presidency itself. Whether you hate Trump, love Trump, the guy stands for something. He stands for a guy that's running to be the president of the United States. So shouldn't we have protections for people that are running for president of the United States?
For sure.
Because I'll tell you, nobody's going to run for president of the United States if there's a good chance you're going to get killed at a rally. And you're going to have good people not running that want to run, that want to help the country. You're going to have those people stepping aside because of security breaches and security failures.
Bro, nobody smart runs for president anyway. Have you noticed? The smartest people don't run. They stay away from it.
We could talk about that.
They stay away from it. Also, remember our bet. $1.
I will.
Okay. All right. We're out.